Good day, students, and welcome to the session. In the last class that we had, we looked specifically at the document with regards to poverty by Sylvaas van der Berg, Poverty and Education, and then we had to critically analyze the chapter in line with the South African context. So this document will be made available on Blackboard, and most of the students completed the chapters from 1 to 6, and then there were some students that were required to complete chapter 7 to 11. Now, the document itself is very important for your assignment because it provides you with insight in terms of how you can go about responding to the question. So remember that when you are busy with your assignment, it's important to refer to some of the works of Sylvaas van der Berg with regards to poverty. So the idea behind students critically analyzing the document was to try to make sense of the document. So if you have not read chapter 7 to 11, it's important for you to do so. But this document itself will be made, as I mentioned, on Blackboard. So I'm not going to discuss the content with you. What I rather want to focus on is the assignment. You probably have read the article by van der Berg and Berger numerous times, and the content itself, to a large extent, relates to the work that van der Berg and Berger did with regards to investigating the school performance within the South African context. So a lot of this content is based on that article, so this you can read through on your own. So what I want to focus on rather is, as I mentioned, the assignment. And it's an assignment where you are required to produce your theory, and then you are required to produce the case, and then you are required to critically analyze the case in relation to the theory. So that's how we go about producing an academic assignment within the postgraduate field. So let's look at the question again. You need to critically evaluate the basic notion that the enhancement of freedom is both the main object and the primary means of development in light of van der Berg and Berger's study of school performance in the Western Cape. And as you know, it's 2,000 to 2,500 word assignment. So you're required to read the article. Now, when you are busy with your assignment, it's important for you to structure it accordingly. So in your introduction, you would introduce the topic. You would introduce the context, the rationale for this specific assignment, and then you would move on to your specific sections that follow. So for instance, the introduction is very important. So yeah, you introduce the problem, you highlight the context, and you also look at the rationale for this assignment. Okay, so rationale for the assignment. So I would say for your introduction, keep it to say 1 to 2 short paragraphs. Okay, and then you will have the main body. And the main body would constitute of the actual discussion of the constitutive and instrumental roles of freedom. So for a heading, you can have it as such. So that would be a heading. And then you obviously produce your theory. And then you need to provide a critical discussion on the specific case that you were required to read. Sorry about that. So the case would be, um, it would be based on the article that you are required to read. So let's say a case on the academic performance of schools in the Western Cape. Okay, so that's now a very important part of the main body. Then also in your body you would have a discussion. Okay, so um, in your discussion you would then be answering the particular question, and the particular question was to critically evaluate this notion that the enhancement of freedom is both the main object and primary means. So for instance, if you are discussing it, then you would either agree with the theory or you would disagree with theory in light of the particular case that you were required to critically analyze. So in your discussion, you would refer back to this question and then you would answer this question. What is quite important for you to do in the discussion is for you to provide practical implications of this assignment to the uh, context in the rest of South Africa. I would say you keep it locally. So look at it within the South African context. So look at the implications on teaching and learning. Look at the implications on policy. You could also identify further avenues for research. That would be very important. That will be quite interesting in helping you with your own research project if this is a field of interest to you. Okay, so that's the discussion, and then the last part is your conclusion. Okay, so I'd say for your introduction, if you can keep it between, let's say, 200 words, I'll say maximum 250 words, and then your main body, this is the bulk, so this would be, let's say, about 2,000 words. And then your final conclusion would be, I'd say, 100 words. Okay. Now, if you're looking at the main body, you can keep this to, I'd say, 500. Let's say 500 words to 700. And then we have the case itself. We can keep this again to 500 to 700 words. And this is quite important. So this is actually the main part of the body, which is the discussion. So I'd say 1,000 words, because it's important for your voice to become very prevalent in this part. So you don't want to just refer to the theory all the time. Just remember, though, that when you have completed your theory, you are always referring back to the specific sources. So it's very important for you to reference the text accordingly. So this applies to both this heading over here and this heading over here. Okay, and then your discussion, you can also refer back to what you mentioned earlier. I would say if you want to achieve a good mark, you need to look beyond the references that we have already. So if you can have about 10 different references, that will help you with your assignment itself. And in the conclusion, you are essentially summing up what you have looked at in the assignment, and then you can again refer to the implications of this assignment for future prospects in terms of this research. So that's just providing some recommendations to prospective researchers and students and so forth. Okay, so that is the assignment, and then you are, as you know, you are also required to engage in online discussions, but I won't create a video yet on that because I still need to create the groups, and based on the status quo, we'll look at what's currently happening, and then I'll have to um, make a decision with regards to creating another video about how to join the prospective groups and how to engage in the discussions. But that's something we will look at perhaps in the next lesson. So what we will just focus on for now is the assignment, and then I will also discuss with the student rep the way forward. So all the best with your assignment, and then, oh sorry, I didn't mention the due date of the assignment. Based on the way things have been going on in South Africa, I will extend the due date of the assignment to the 31st of March 2020. So that's the revised due date, and then I will create a link for the assignment, and then you will be required to upload your assignment by this due date. Also, what is very important is for you to ensure that the plagiarism level of your assignment is not higher than 20%. So anything higher than 20% is considered as a high level of plagiarism. So on Blackboard, when you submit your assignment, you are required to adhere to the SafeAssign guideline, and that when you're submitting your assignment, it will indicate the level of plagiarism. And I know that there might be an option in Blackboard where you can submit a draft to determine whether your assignment has a high plagiarism level or not. Okay, so all the best with the assignment, and I will communicate with you further through the student rep. Okay, goodbye.